In December, during the lame duck session of Congress after the election, the Senate voted to repeal Don't Ask, Don't Tell. By a vote of 65 to 31, they defeated a Republican filibuster and ended the U.S. military's 17-year policy of firing people from our military for being gay. Days later, President Obama signed that repeal into law, and the Pentagon started to put in place its long, comprehensive, detailed plan for repealing the Don't Ask, Don't Tell policy very slowly and very carefully. But as of this morning, that process of ending it was still playing out. 7 months after repeal, the policy was technically still in effect, most people estimating that the process of getting rid of the policy would not be complete until September. Either September or maybe this afternoon. The Ninth U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals, the level of federal court just one tier below the Supreme Court, this afternoon ruled that the government needs to get on with it already about Don't Ask, Don't Tell, citing the Obama administration's statements that it is unconstitutional for the law to discriminate on the basis of sexual orientation. The Ninth Circuit Court ordered that the government stop implementing Don't Ask, Don't Tell now, as in immediately. A Pentagon spokesman put out a statement in response saying, "We will, of course, comply with orders of the court." It also said that the Defense Department is reviewing the ruling with the Justice Department and that the military will start notifying its personnel of the ruling immediately. Does this mean that everybody in the military who has been living a closeted life should come out immediately? Well, the lawyer for the plaintiff organization in this case, the gay Republican group called the Log Cabin Republicans, that lawyer says no, telling the Associated Press today that gay service members are cautioned against coming out now until the government declares that it intends to abide by the ruling. The head of Service Members Legal Defense Network also referenced that same issue today, saying that his organization hopes the Defense Department will not challenge the ruling. For more than 2 years now, U.S. Air Force Lieutenant Colonel Victor Fehrenbach has been fighting to keep from being discharged under Don't Ask, Don't Tell. He is a fighter pilot. He's a decorated combat veteran of both the Iraq and Afghanistan wars. And over these past 2 years, his decision to fight the Air Force's efforts to fire him for being gay have made him a nationally known symbol of the cost of this policy. He joins us now from Idaho. Colonel Fehrenbach, thanks very much for your time tonight.
Thanks. Good to be with you, Rachel.
Since you first came on this show and told your story, Victor, there have been a lot of twists and turns in the unmaking of this policy. What's your reaction to this court ruling today, effectively shutting down the policy right away?
You nailed it, Rachel. There have been a lot of twists and turns, so it was great news today, but I greet it with cautious optimism once again, mainly because they do have the opportunity, the DOJ and the DOD have the opportunity to challenge this order in court once again. I believe the date's August 29th, or they could also, as I understand it, appeal directly to the Supreme Court. So we need some clarification once again. As you mentioned, they said that they would comply with the order and they would take immediate action to notify the force. So again, maybe we'll get clarification within days like we did in October where the news trickled out. But also, the thing that would end all of this confusion is if the President, Secretary Panetta, and Admiral Mullen would just move to certify the repeal immediately, within days of this ruling. We've gone through the training. The Marines, the Coast Guard, the Navy, the Air Force are all complete. The Army is more than, as I understand it, 75% complete with their training. So the thing that would end all the confusion in the world is if the President would certify a repeal of Don't Ask, Don't Tell, and if they would make an announcement saying that they did not intend to appeal or challenge this order.
In the meantime, until there is that kind of clarification that you're describing, do you have, I realize you're not a lawyer here, you're a person who's been in the middle of this, and I don't want you to speak beyond your level of comfort, but do you have any advice for people who are currently serving in the military about disclosing their sexual orientation? People who've been discussing this ruling today, is there any change in whether or not people should feel comfortable coming out?
No, in fact, just as you pointed out, the Service Members Legal Defense Network put out, again, a warning once again to service members that Don't Ask, Don't Tell is still the law of the land, that it is not safe for service members to come out. Again, until we get clarification, and again, the Pentagon did say they'd take immediate steps to notify the force, but the one thing that would clarify this for everyone is if the President, the Secretary of Defense, and Admiral Mullen certified repeal, and we got this process underway immediately. And if they announced that they would not appeal the ruling, you know, there's still hundreds of cases. My case technically is still in limbo. I could be discharged tomorrow theoretically. We don't think that's going to happen. But there are hundreds of cases right now that SLDN is taking care of, and there are tens of thousands of service members serving right now in harm's way that are just waiting for this certification to happen, and waiting for Don't Ask, Don't Tell to be a page in history.
In terms of your own case, Victor, I think that we may be able to make some news here tonight. You were just a couple of years away from being able to retire at your full rank when you were investigated under Don't Ask, Don't Tell, facing being forced out of the Air Force after 18 years of service with, I mean, forgive me, nothing to show for it, but your chest full of medals at that point. Can you tell us now what your next set of military orders are?
As you know, I think you reported that I received my retirement orders in January, signed by the Secretary of the Air Force. And in fact, just yesterday, another small step towards me seeing the light of the tunnel in my case in particular was I received my certificate of retirement, the official certificate, signed by the Chief of Staff of the Air Force. And I also received my official certificate of appreciation from President Obama. So I do plan on retiring. It's effective 1 October, and I plan on having a small ceremony over Labor Day weekend, and having those certificates in hand started to make this real for me. I also have a ticker in my office right now. I have 30 duty days left until I'm effectively retired, and we have that ceremony. So it's starting to feel real, but again, I'm the lucky one. We still have hundreds of cases that are going on at this moment, and we have tens of thousands of service members who are waiting for this to be over.
Lieutenant Colonel Victor Fehrenbach, thank you so much for your time tonight, Victor. It's good to see you and good to get this update from you. I appreciate it.
You too, Rachel. Thank you very much.
Thanks. I wanted to say goodbye before I said this, but, you know, if anybody out there is looking for a guy who served his country, fought for his country in 2 wars, and then went on to become kind of a civil rights hero, I was just going to say, not to put this out there, he didn't ask me to say it, but he's newly on the job market. The first time since he joined the Air Force when he was a wee child. I'm just saying, his name is Victor Fehrenbach. He's bald, big arm muscles, can't miss him.